Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jaco with Unleashing Intuition Secrets, live from Las Vegas. So, the building boom here in Las Vegas is not letting up. So, let me show you guys, what's going on. So, I drove around last night. I was at some pretty cool meetings with some people. So, let me see if I can get you guys to see this one corner over here. See all that building boom that's going on over there? That's all over Las Vegas. So once this COVID lie crap stops, it's gonna blow up. And so from what I've been hearing is the basically the different areas here in Las Vegas have taken a big hit, and that's 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 interesting to me because I think that the COVID lie basically was on purpose to so they could come in and buy properties at a discount, in key areas like the big cities. All right, so they had their little minions, do the demonstrations in a lot of these areas. That's the BLM and Tifa, and that drove a lot of people out. They burned, looted, that drove people out. So, and their extreme lockdown measures have drove people out. So what does that do? It lowers the prices of real estate, doesn't it? And who's been buying that real estate? Yeah, the bad guys. So makes sense, right? So we've seen a lot of these guys, buying up, massive property all over the place. The COVID lie, we're catching on to it. Like when I went down to work out here in the Trump Hotel, there was lots of people that were coming in. I don't wear masks, so lots of people were coming in, and they saw me without a mask, and they got rid of their masks. All right. So we're all starting to, push back on the lies, and because we're pushing back, it's getting harder for them, to keep us locked down. Obviously, because if we don't agree to their lie, then the lie evaporates just like that. It's that simple, guys. It's that simple to get rid of this lie. All we have to do is stop believing in it. Think about any time in your life where there's been a lie. It's 1111 here right now, so that's an angelic number. So imagine any time in your life where someone has told you a lie, and then you found out about that lie, and everything about that lie just evaporated. It just fell apart. So that's what we need to do. More of us, wake up to this lie, the CD19 lie that they have us locked down in. And they've done it, like I said, to basically get rid of a lot of the useless eaters, like Andrew Cuomo in New York and some of these other governors. So Andrew Cuomo is under a lot. He's under a lot of stress right now. And he will be probably the first that goes down. And then it'll be a domino effect very quickly after that. So we are going to see justice. We have been talking about that for some time. You guys need to prepare for that. The weather wars that basically happened in Texas is going to be revealed, and the manipulation that happened there, the way they jacked up the energy prices and are gouging people right now. There's evidence that there might have been something else afoot with that. And the reason why they froze everything out was to prevent something that was going to happen there. So let me share the screen. We'll talk about some of this stuff. Before I do, I'm here in Las Vegas basically to meet with many people that are like me, that share stuff. I saw Carrie Cassidy last night, Juan We saw David Rodriguez, some others. We heard that Charlie Ward tried to get in the country, but Biden put out a notice to the, I guess, when you come in, immigration and try to go through customs wouldn't let him through. So he got froze out at one of the airports or something. And that was because Biden, from what we're hearing, I don't know if that's true. Maybe Charlie Ward never came. I don't know. Maybe it's just rumor mill, but would surprise me if that was the case. When I was working for the State Department and then eventually for the CIA, I started to see a lot of these manipulations happen. When Hillary Clinton was the basically head of the State Department, for those of us that were providing protection for the CIA, we had diplomatic passports, and she restricted diplomatic passports for us. So it's hard for us because they had to be renewed every couple of years. So she was restricting those diplomatic passports. And I think she was trying to manipulate the CIA for some reason. All right. And eventually those restrictions started to come off. But, that's the way these people roll. If they want, even within their own groups, they manipulate and kill each other and all kind of crazy stuff. So it's not unusual. So anyway, 107, Sabin basically was talking to the group that was there last night, and he had a very strong, he felt very strongly that President T was going to be back soon. So whether that actually manipulates or manifests or not remains to be seen. We'll have to wait and and see. But I don't believe in hopium. I don't try and pass hopium. I just try and pass on information, as I see it, as I feel it. I've been saying that I felt that the time frame around March 5th looked really good for Trump coming back, and the stock market possibly was going to crash. That could be because Jaco is coming in. There's lots of different things, that I see. I'm getting the feeling for some of these things now. A lot of these things were locked up. There was a lot of manipulation of timelines. Timeline wars are going on right now as we speak. So there's all kinds of things that are going on all around us on many different dimensional levels and so forth. So as these different dimensional wars go on and we start to push back on them and start to win them on different levels, then we'll start to see more of the positive things manifest at our level, right? So the key is to stay in your higher vibrational fields, because they can't manipulate us. Like I just gave you the example. I'm down in the gym, not wearing a mask. It was one other guy that wasn't wearing a mask, and we were like the only, some of the only people down there. Now, as people started coming in, they're coming in with their masks, and they're kind of like looking around, looking at us, starting to work out. Then eventually their masks come off, and then more people started coming in and started looking around. Everybody's got their mask off. They took their mask off. So it was a gym full of maskless people. Yeah. So, it's happening, guys. So I was everywhere that I went with my group. Basically, we're maskless. We're coming into areas where masks are mandatory, and we're walking in as a group, and no one's saying anything. All right. And it's starting to influence people, guys. So you need to write. You know how we've seen these flash mobs that come in and rob and steal? We need to do that on a positive level. We need to have flash mobs of people that don't have masks and come in and just do stuff and then leave. And, let's start doing that. All right. Get with your crew and start to do that kind of stuff. All right. We got to get these masks off. We got to push back. We got to get creative on how we push back and stop this stuff out. So the good guys can only do so much. They're lining up and taking down some of these people. Cuomo will be one of them. Everything's lining up for him to go bye-bye, like I've been saying for months. I said months ago when it was starting to be disclosed that Cuomo had put seniors in nursing homes that they were infected, that he was going to go, and he was going to go in a bad way, with the nice noose, right? So let's share this screen so I can pull up a little bit of this. So right here, you see government memo crushes Cuomo's defense in COVID nursing scandal. All right, so you see this little evil boy right here, that demon boy? That boy's going to get hammered bad, guys. He's going to really get hammered bad. And everybody around him that was part of him, because I've been saying all along, if you know that you're part of this evil cabal, you need to find a way to break free from it, because they're all going down. If you're part of it, you're going to go down with them. So everyone that's in his health department that pushed these upwards of 15,000 people murdered, guys. It's not going to be pretty for them. They're all going to face death sentences. All right. President Biden, we should call him Biden, declares major disaster. Only took him, 10, 11 days in Texas following severe winter storm. So again, he will go bye-bye as well. That will come soon. Now, we were having, this is the beauty of having, these people with, big brains around you that are, intuitive and spiritual. We had a nice little discussion, BJ Campbell and Kerry Cassidy last night. We're talking about, let's say Trump comes in on the 4th. Let's say nothing was disclosed and boom, he's in office. So all of the left radical people are going to blow up thinking it's a coup. So you can't have that, right? So we've been seeing that there's a lot of stuff that's been talked about as far as like the 27th and 28th, where things are going to be disclosed. So we're going to have to see disclosure, because the military basically being in charge, it takes President Trump, because this is all planned, right? This is all planned out. So President Trump is not in the scene, and the military comes in and starts disclosing, starts having maybe some trials or something. I don't know how it's going to work out. I think it's going to surprise all of us how it's going to work out, quite frankly. And so not being attached to, well, you said this and I thought you said this. No, I did not say a lot of the things that I've heard people say that I say. And it's in their own mind, because they're trying to connect the dots in their own mind, rationalize something that's not based in ration. All right. These things are right now, these are intuitive decisions that are coming down, quantum level decisions, supercomputers that are gaming all this stuff out, that are coming up with the correct and best thing to do as things change on a dime sometimes. So because I say I have a feeling something's going to go a certain way, does not mean that I am saying that this is absolutely the way it's going to be. And if it doesn't happen that way, then it can't be recognized. That's ridiculous. All right. Only a child thinks that way. Only a 2-year-old. So guys got to get out of that. Now, a lot of people that are stuck and stupid right now, and I have compassion for that, because everything has been going against them. The food supply dumbs people down. The water supply dumbs people down because it has fluoride in it. It calcifies the pineal gland. The radio, I'm hearing, I have Sirius XM, and they have like the Sirius XM jockeys, not like we used to do the old video VJs, remember from back when they had videos. What was that? I can't remember the name of it, but we used to all watch it. The music videos always had that. So some of those guys are now, in Sirius XM. They're like the I don't know, the satellite, DJs, SJs, satellite SDJs. So, or satellite jockeys, whatever we want to say. I guess we can call them that, right? And they, the same people that were on that music channel I can't think of right now, they're on there now, and they're peddling the same bullshit. They're saying, "Oh, we're going to have these concerts. You know, these concerts are planned in June and July and August. Hopefully, they'll get like these COVID vaccines out so we can all go." I'm like, what? What the hell was that? So it's everywhere. Not only is it on, the old Fox News that we used to like, but it's also, of course, on CNN and all these other channels that are peddling this mind F, this, this control system. It's everywhere. So it's understandable, have compassion for those people that basically fall for it, because it's just so much stuff that's against us. And if they're in that lower consciousness realm and stuck there, when they start to wake up, I heard this one guy talking today, someone shared it with me, where he was talking about how we have to have compassion for them and not go, "See, I told you," because it's going to be hard enough for them to wake up to this. And so for us to be like in their face, "I told you, I told you, I told you, I told you," it's going to send some of these people over the edge. All right. And imagine you're awake and you start to point the finger at people that you've been saying all this stuff to and say, I told you. And then they commit suicide. How are you going to feel then? All right. You got to have some compassion. You got to have love for these people, guys. All right. So, Biden, major disaster in Texas. Yeah. You finally figured that out because there's been a lot of pressure. Some of us new newsmakers have been talking about this with deep state government Governor Greg Abbott, part of his little bit, one of the tools for them, making a statement where, while this partial approval is an important first step, Texas will continue to work with our federal partners to ensure all eligible Texans have access to the relief they need. Yeah, as there's many people that have died now because of all this. So what is going on with this? What is this on a larger scale? So it's the same thing we talked about as far as trying to push people out, using weather as a tool. The deep state's been doing this for a long time, guys, for decades upon decades upon decades, way back all the way to World War II. There's records of it. So there's surreal photos from Texas. Here's a swimming pool that's frozen. I guess a guy was like walking on it, jumping up and down on it because it's so deeply frozen. Here's a fish tank inside a home that's frozen. Here's this guy's apartment. I guess there was water leakage inside the apartment. Water pipes burst and leaked in the walls. And you see over here, there's along the walls there's ice, and on this ceiling fan there's ice. So it's pretty amazing. So why did this happen? Well, as we know, that Texas is talking about breaking from the union because of all the stupid things that Biden is doing and trying to implement. So they're saying that they're just going to break. They're going to break away. They're going to create their own thing, and they have that option. We saw this during the last Civil War, which was driven by these same deep staters. They were the ones. The Democrats were the ones that basically broke away from Lincoln, who's doing the right thing. And it wasn't about slavery. It was about a lot of other things as far as trade and so forth. They didn't want to have free trade. It wasn't all about slavery, although it was obviously a problem. Texas electric bills soar, some up to $10,000. So why is this? Why are these prices soaring like this? Because this company is basically market based. So as demand goes up in a market, so do prices. So the demand has soared course, people are going to use more electricity to warm their houses. That's a given. Like this one guy is talking about, Jose Del Rio. He's saying that his electricity bill was $630 this month instead of the typical $150. And all he's using his electricity for is to keep his house, which he's trying to sell, at 60 degrees. 60 degrees is not that warm, you know, but it's warm enough to keep the pipes from freezing. So just having it at that temperature, you know, more than quadrupled his electric bill. And he's also been told he owes an additional $2,600 on top of that. So it's out of control. And so they talk about how Del Rio's electric company is Gridley, which basically is market-based. And normally a megawatt hour is $50. It's gone up to $9,000 a megawatt hour. Yeah. So guys, these crooks, you know, have all kinds of different ways to make money and to drive people out and destroy people. So this is something that's been going on, like I said, for a long time, in weather wars, weather warfare. All right. Revolutionary methods for political control. That's what we've been seeing. We've been seeing the fires in California and across the West, not just California, but California gets a lot of focus because of the directed energy weapons they use. They basically melt cars and basically turn to dust anything that's in the cars, like human beings, microwaves. There can be like next to a home that basically gets vaporized almost. There can be a plastic play set for kids that doesn't get touched, just like when you put plastic in a microwave, it doesn't burn it, it doesn't melt it. But everything that's metal that's in the home is melted to basically puddles of metal. All right. And everything else is vaporized. Just like if you put a piece of meat into a microwave, it's basically going to take all the water out of it. It's going to like get it really dry, and then eventually it would turn to dust if it was microwave long enough. And that's what's happening to these houses. Very, very intense directed energy weapons. They were used back in 9/11 on the Twin Towers. There was a lot of cars that had melted where this DEW energy weapon had swept over some of these cars. And you could see the line in the car where the paint was basically untouched, and then where it was completely gone, and everything was melted except for plastic. Plastic fixtures on the car were not melted, and everything else was. And so all the way back during 9/11, they were used. And if we look at, you know, the way they're being used in California, where people completely disappear, because if they're in their homes and the directed energy weapon comes over their homes, they're basically vaporized, you know, into dust. And the same thing with people in their cars that are, you know, pretty much vaporized and melted pretty much. So they used them in Australia, directed energy weapons in Australia last year until the rains came in. I was part of a group that basically brought in the rains to Australia. I've been bringing in weather here to California, at least some areas. It takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of focus. So in my area, there's no problems. You know, I pull in the snow, pull in the rain, and if more of us did that, we could stop this. We could stop that stuff out. And of course, we could find the people that are doing it because we remote view where they're at, and then we go after them and take them down. So I think a lot of that stuff is going to happen soon. But if we look at, you know, 1931, the scientific outlook, Lord Bertrand Arthur Russell, winner of the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1950, to discuss manipulating the weather. 1931, he's talking about this. It may be that God made the world, Russell proclaimed. That is no reason why we should not make it over. Must have been a deep state guy. Charles Galton Darwin, stepson or grandson of Charles Darwin, talked about gaining direct control over the climate in his 1952 book, The Next Million Years. what were the first million years, Charlie? So that whole thing, Charles Darwin was that was a manipulation about the apes being turned into man and all that kind of stuff. Um, anyway, weather modification is now possible. Attempts to modify the weather have been made since at least the late 1940s, 1947. U.S. Navy, Army, and Air Force, working with General Electric Corporation, made the first attempt to modify a hurricane under Project Sirius. So even going back further, the Allies seeded clouds to cause a lot of rain in over Italy when they're doing they're coming in to storm Italy. So they were seeding all the way back then, and it was effective. In 1950s, U.S. Forest Service carried out a project called Skyfire, where they tried to control the lightning to make sure they wouldn't have forest fires. Multiple countries, including the United States, are now modifying the weather. November of 1997, the Wall Street Journal reported that in order to dissipate excess fog, the Malaysian government would be signing an agreement with Russian officials for use of a technology which will allow them to create a cyclone. All right. So I've been talking about how a lot of some of these hurricanes are basically directed, and they're basically spun to higher levels through directed energy weapons as well. All right. So the warmer water causes the hurricanes to become more intensified, and you can actually use the directed energy weapon to guide it. You put the directed energy warmer water in front of or where you want to guide these hurricanes, and that basically directs them. So that's been actually recorded. People have been seeing this stuff and have been talking about it and showing it. During the Vietnam War, the U.S. government used weather as a weapon under Project Popeye, which was an attempt to increase the rainfall over a supply route called the Ho Chi Minh Trail, which extended from north to south. Of course, they were dumping stuff on the exfoliant on the Agent Orange on the plants to basically take away their crops and stuff. Unfortunately, a lot of them probably died from that Agent Orange, cancers and so forth. And American military men now have been dying from Agent Orange for quite some time as well. All right. So all these things are, they don't care, and they'll lie, they'll misdirect until pretty much everyone's dead. And then eventually when they're like maybe a handful left, they'll say, oh yeah, we did do that. We'll take care of those 5 guys that are left out of 50,000 that died. Remember, they used to send in large groups of troops after an atomic explosion to see how they would, to measure how they would be affected. Of course, cancers came down like crazy. A lot of those guys died out, of course, from radiological poisoning and so forth. And it wasn't until more recently that they admitted that they did that, and it probably caused a lot of those guys to die. So, and they've admitted they've used gonorrhea on black males in Tuskegee, Georgia, and they also admitted, and Hillary Clinton admitted this one, that they used gonorrhea to infect people in Honduras. How about that? Right? So you guys think this doesn't happen? You think there's not basically a weather war that's going on right now used by the deep state? You think there's not a war with other things that is going on right now that's got everybody shut down? Come on, right? The information's here. You can read about it. It's been out for a long time. I have talked about it. I have talked about, these groups that have used these different viruses and so forth for a long time. So in the meantime, some places are opening, like there's 5 different states that have no longer any mask mandates, social distancing, all the restaurants are open. Florida is basically pretty much open, has been for a long time. Of course, there are things that are happening that are suspicious. So I think it was like several weeks ago, there was what they called a cyber attack on a water supply in Florida. All right. A cyber attack. That's what it was labeled as. So they were planning on dumping somehow toxins in the water. So that toxins, what kind of toxins? All right. Like more viruses? You guys need to start thinking. Remember, I keep saying about having plenty of water and food available, and make sure you're basically purifying the water that you have, coming out of those sinks. All right. So there is talk, and I think it's kind of a long shot, but I've heard of people talking about that seem to be somewhat informed about how they had done that in Texas. And that's why they're saying, make sure you boil the water in Texas, because it was loaded. I've heard that, and on top of the weather war, maybe the weather was purposefully, I've heard, freezing everything out so that the pipes were burst, so this toxin wouldn't go into people. Who knows, right? So there's lots of different things that happen with this stuff, guys. I'm not saying that that's true. I'm not saying that I have information on that. I'm just saying that I've heard of people talking about that. So you always have to, don't take things at face value. Start to think of a bigger picture. Why did Cove basically go out there? What was it designed to do other than to lock everybody down and to destroy economies and to drive people out of certain areas, I believe, right? So that they could be bought up, right? No lockdown, Sweden sees COVID death plummet quicker than the UK. So what's also amazing about the people in Sweden, having never really gone too far with this COVID lie, as far as like locking people down, they still allowed people, they did the mask thing, allowed people to still go out, and they kept their own social distancing, which the Swedes are always like that anyway. So it wasn't a big deal to them. They always keep social distance. There's one doctor that said the strict lockdown in the UK was so effective that it stopped the spread of COVID in Sweden as well. That's pretty cool, right? Thank you, UK, for helping the people in Sweden with your strict lockdown. So actually, that's being very facetious and fun, poking at the stupidity that's going on all over the world, and same as in Victoria, Australia, where they locked everybody down because just a few people supposedly got the coronavirus in the middle of summer. Wow. And so you guys agreed to it. You guys agreed to be locked down. You could have said no. Really, you really could. You could have said no. They don't own us and control us that hard. But you let like a few people at the top and their little minion police force that they've controlled lock you guys down. There's a lot more of you guys. A lot more of you guys, right? So at some point when you're ready to stand up and stop letting these people control you, then that will stop. It's just that simple, all right? So this is probably going to get banned in Australia after I said that. So, and whatever. So going forward, this stuff only stops if we get more aggressive pushing back, and we have to be as aggressive, if not more aggressive, pushing back. And that doesn't mean we're going full on physical with them. It means that we're saying no, we're not going to lock down. No, we're not going to shut our restaurants down, like a lot of places have done, and just continue on with our lives. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't believe in the stuff that I'm putting out. Does that mean my life doesn't stop? No. It means that there's a lot more people informed that are watching it, of course, but there's still going to be people that don't believe in this, what I'm saying. if you would have asked those people that are coming down to the gym before they got into the gym, they saw me not wearing a mask and they took their masks off, seeing that it was okay. Do you think that if you would ask them before they went into the gym, are you going to wear your mask to the gym? And they'd be like, yes, I'm going to wear my mask to the gym. Where there's one guy down there that's not wearing a mask. What do you think about that? What do you think? And imagine how, if that question was put out there. Can you believe it? There is a guy down there not wearing his mask. Might have got him a little fired up. Maybe they even might have even approached me and said, I heard you weren't wearing a mask down here. You need to put your mask on, right? That would have been a problem. So guys, people are easily swayed one way or another because they don't do critical thinking. So some people, when they see that the mask mandate is no longer in place, boom, the mask is gone, go on with their lives. They're never even going to question why there actually was a mask mandate. All right. They're never even going to question. They don't care. They just live life moment to moment. They're simple little lives, and that's fine. More power to them. But for those of us that are thinking, we might go, well, why are there 5 states that don't have a mask mandate, but our state does? Anybody out there doing that? That's in a lockdown state? All right, guys. Lots of love out there. And I hope you guys have a fabulous day. And I believe we're approaching the time where all of this stuff is going to